everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Midday Muse. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so glad that you are joining us. Those who are catching the replay, thank you for joining. If you can please like, comment, and share, that would be fantastic. Today, for episode 2, you are in store for a wonderful treat. I have an amazing guest. Mr. Mable Carter is here to join us, and she is a philanthropist, humanitarian. She's an entrepreneur. She's a preacher, a mother, this inspirational speaker. She's about to just let us know exactly tell us about her journey through entrepreneurship, the lessons she's learned, the walk she's walked, and the successes that she's had, and just the ups and downs. As you know, Midday Muse is a podcast where we have deep discussions about the realities of life that will inspire you as you pursue your purpose. And so the point of this podcast is to just create a space where you know that you are not alone, create a space where you can be uplifted and encouraged as you go through the journey of pursuing your purpose and taking the unbeaten path. So Ms. Mabel Carter, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you
Hi,
doing today?
Taya. How are you? Hello, everyone.
I'm good, thank you. It's so good to have you on the show. I'm so excited for what you're about to share with us.
I'm happy to
Can
be
you?
here.
That's wonderful. Can you first tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I don't know if your volume can increase a bit.
Okay.
I can hear you, but I can still being drowned out somewhat.
Let me see it. Let me change my mic. I love the technical difficulties that we've been in this morning.
I'm going to just take the camera off for 1 second. I want to turn the volume and my background down.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, I'm back.
All right. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can hear you so much better.
Yeah. It's the mic. All right. So if you can tell us a bit more about yourself, Miss Mabel Carter.
Okay. Well, my name is Mabel Carter. I'm originally from the Bahamas, particularly the islands of Freeport, Grand Bahama Island, which is one of the islands in the Bahama chain of islands. And um, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 2 and a grandmother of 1 baby girl, who I love dearly, my grandbaby Micaiah. And my oldest daughter, who's also my assistant, Anisha, and my son, who's my priest and husband. He's my security and my protector. His name is DeAndre. We're a small family. We reside here in the beautiful state of Florida, here in the city of West Palm Beach. And I am many things to many, and not by my will, but my passion and my life experiences, and what has driven me in pursuing exactly what it is that I do, no matter where the Lord sent me. I'm the daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an only girl. I'm a sister of 3 brothers, and so growing up in the Bahamas, coming from a Caribbean culture, um, we are deemed go-getters. So becoming and stepping into that space of entrepreneurship um, has given me such a wide um, view of life and what it is that I do. But I'm a very down to earth person. I'm very outgoing. Um, I like to speak my mind, but respectfully, because I'm a big advocate of quote unquote the underdogs. And I believe in justice and equality. Um, like Tania had told everyone, I'm a philanthropist. Um, I believe in empowering people. So I'm an empowerment speaker. I'm a preacher. And yeah, I think that kind of sum it up a little bit about Mabel Carter. That's kind of a gist of my day-to-day life of the things that I kind of mentioned. Um, and I'm now developing a social life. So that's a new outlet for me, socializing. And that started um, a little bit late last year, and which actually afforded me to be able to travel to Atlanta in March at the Sinitrim Unstoppable. As by the way, Atlanta is one of my favorite cities to visit. I often think about it as somewhere if I would want to ever reside there. I love Atlanta. I love Atlanta, Georgia. So yeah, and I had the opportunity of connecting and meeting this beautiful, humble giant of a lady who was so gifted and talented in her own rights, Miss Tania Christopher. And it's a pleasure to join her today to be able to empower, edify, and uplift to the many that will watch and see this broadcast.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I never told anybody how we met. We met at Dr. Cindy Trim's Unstoppable Conference back in March. It was actually my birthday weekend. I was turning 40 that Monday. So
Wow.
that weekend at the Ritz Carlton, socializing with some amazing women. We got to meet each other. It was just happenstance. It just happened to be outside, right?
Yeah, actually.
Um, on what I was doing for my business. And you came up to me afterwards. I was so excited. And so from there, we sparked a great relationship. I actually also started a group of entrepreneurs, and we meet every other Tuesday where we just encourage each other and we call each other accountability partners. So
Continue on the journey.
we set our goals and we just encourage one another. So that's how I met Mabel and her amazing story and the things that she has accomplished on her own. I can't wait for her to delve into really um, what God has on placed on her heart to show to us. So if tell us, you started out working a regular 9 to 5, is that right?
I actually did. I actually did start it out in a as somewhat of a 9 to 5. Um, my humble beginnings came from, well, in my upbringing in the Bahamas. My mom was in the islands. We have something what we call the markets, um, and arts and craft markets. And my mom, for years after her hospitality 9 to 5 jobs as a custodial worker in many of the hotels back home in the Bahamas, she ventured out into entrepreneurship, and she became you know arts working in the arts and craft market. And during my younger days, my high school days, I would go in the market with my mom, and that's where my entrepreneurship began to be cultivated. And my mom, being the very strong woman that she was, she always pushed me and she always groomed me and she taught me really, just the art of the business and how, you be an early riser and to Don't wait for anyone to give you anything. Go out there and make it happen for yourself. And I saw that in my mother. And in seeing that in my mother, it stirred a hunger in me. And I always admire the tenacity of my mother. And when she wanted to get something done, I admired that. And I looked up to that. And so she started me eventually giving me my own set of products in my early days of working in the markets with my mom, and having to go and make it happen for myself while working alongside of her in the business. And there it actually really started my entrepreneurship business, so to speak. And then as I grew into becoming a young woman, I wanted to do more. And so I ventured into different aspects of, like I said, somewhat of a 9 to 5, because it always was centered around hospitality or sales and marketing. But there were time schedules. Either was 8 to 4, 9 to 5, things of that nature. And so all of it actually was cultivating the gift that I didn't even know that I have. I always knew from a little girl that I always wanted so much more in life. There was something my aunt and my cousins, my mom's sister, used to always tell me, they used to always say, boy, you have big dreams. You have these big caviar dreams, but you really don't have much to support it. And I was like, that's okay. One day you guys will see. And I always dreamt, I always had big dreams. Didn't know how it was going to get done, but I always know there was something there. You always have this yearning on the inside, like it was a emptiness. Like, even though working alongside my mother in the marketplace, working, doing a lot of my job, career, and experiences always was centered around sales and marketing, and didn't understand what God was doing in my life. I just knew that it always came naturally to me. And even when I was placed around certain people in certain arenas as it pertains to sales and marketing, they would always say, you're just a natural at this. And I was like, wow, like I must be really good at this, huh? And it actually started from there, but I knew, again, it was still more. Like it just wasn't enough. Like, working in those jobs in the different various hotels or resorts that I worked in, I still was like, no, there's still more to it. There's still more to it. So it was like I just had this great hunger to like, there's more to this thing, and I want whatever the more is. And it all started from there.
That's amazing. So when you were working during the shifts and the 9 to 5s, what was it that made you, what was the final push that made you decide, you know what, I'm gonna go on this, I'm gonna do this on my own. I'm not gonna have a boss anymore. I'm gonna be my own boss. What was that final tipping point for you?
Well, that final tipping point actually came to halt in 2006 when my then boss at the resort that I worked at the time, which was branded by Wyndham chain of hotels here in America. At the hotel I was working at in the Bahamas, I was the then assistant manager for the VIP guest relations department. And myself, along with my then colleague, we were doing extremely well in the business. We were a smaller team compared to the mainstream sales team. And our numbers were competing with the sales team numbers. Um, and our then director was not happy with that. And he made a decision to send in a letter to corporate to say that, there's some things that need to be rearranged. And, he was clever and crafty at, what it was that he was accomplishing to do. His main objective was to stop the movement because, and we're in layman terms, we were showing them up, like the VIP guest department, which comprised of 5 persons, and the mainstream sales team, which had like about 30 persons strong, including managers and directors. Our numbers were showing them up. And so he had to find a way to stop that. And so what he did was he found a way to kind of, and what we say back in Mama throw a monkey wrench to try to slow down our sales. And then he also decreased our uh, percentage in our what we call overrides that we would get. He found a way to decrease that, and then he knew, based on what he was going to do, that it would have forced us either to come back into the mainstream sales and eventually shut the department down. And then I made a decision. Myself and my then colleague, who was the manager, and myself being the assistant manager, and we said, this is the route we want to go. This is what's carrying this resort. Well, let's see how they're going to make this happen without us. And eventually it backfired on him. And the decision came down that, we can either go back into the direct marketing team and be, as subordinate staff, or we could rejoin the sales team and start back on what they call the lined staff. And so we decided that no, if this is a decision, I'm just give me my check and I will kindly leave. And he wanted to pay us for the years that we worked for the company, for the resort, based as subordinate staff. And then the general manager of personnel made the last call, and he said no. Even when they were subordinate staff before their promotions, we're going to pay them at management level for all the years that they worked here. So what the enemy meant for bad, God turned around for our good, right? And at that moment in 2006, I made a decision. I said, I'm having a pretty check come in. I'm going to take this money and I'm going to begin to invest it, because I always had a passion for the fashion industry, and everything's centered around that. Because in my early days of dabbling in sales, I had a short time I spent in the cosmetology industry. And like I told you, everything I did always was centered around sales, service of some sort. And that my short time in that industry, I knew that I wanted to get into fashion. I knew I wanted to there was an image and a standard that I wanted to see for women, especially plus size women. And so this was always in my head. And I said, one day I'm going to make this a reality. And 2006 was my opportunity to jump off and get that started, when what he thought was, one season of my life was ending, but that was my push of what God was saying right there and then. Yeah, this is where this is going to start.
That's awesome. And it's true, what the enemy means for bad, God turns around for good. And also God tends to make us uncomfortable just to push us outside of
Absolutely.
what we're used to, so that we can move on to the next level.
Absolutely.
If that never happened, you would have just merrily kept along making your numbers and never really pushed over into where you're supposed to be. So can you tell us a little bit about what your business is? What do you do? You mentioned the clothing. I know you have multiple things that you have.
And I do. In 2006, I'll say this. I'll go back a little bit, just go forward. In 2006, when I started to launch my business in boutique, I began to do some research on boutique. That was one of the first things that I did. And as I did these research and learning and studying what is a boutique, because I just didn't want to open any store. I knew there was something specific that I wanted to do. I wanted to be different because I always try to do things where I stand out. I don't believe in going along with the status quo. I want something you're gonna know it's Mabel because it's gonna scream Mabel because of my unique style and fashion and things that I like. So I just didn't want it just to be another clothing store or another boutique per se. I wanted to be a signature boutique that when you buy a piece from that store, you're going to know that came from a new creation boutique, right? And that was the name, as a matter of fact, that I was given for the boutique. And so when I launched um, this journey into becoming a boutique owner, it came with a lot of work. It came with a lot of, I had to be focused and disciplined. And the way that came was I had to be very innovative. I had to do research. I went on websites. And may I add, as Tania mentioned about how God will make you uncomfortable when He's doing a new thing. And let me just throw this in here. That season of my life between 2006 and 2009, me trying to launch this boutique, I was very uncomfortable because in losing that job, a lot of things went downhill for me. Even though I had the funds and the checks, but sometimes some of these when you get monies in hand, it's sometimes enough to take care of the bills that you have that's present. Because if you don't have any background savings, anything sort of for emergency, and you live in paycheck to paycheck, in which I was, if I could be really transparent on this live, um, I tried to save some of it to invest in starting a business. So I just I didn't flatline, so to speak. So what I did was, paid up some of my bills, but I went through a very rough period between 2006 and 2009, just in trying to launch the business. However, in my research and sitting down and using public library computers, or I would go at a friend's house because one of the things that I went through in that hardship period that I mentioned was, I went through a period where sometimes I had the electricity, sometimes I didn't. So in the times I didn't have it, I couldn't use a computer, or my phone crashed, needed to get a new phone. So I went through some very, very real challenges. But because I was so determined that I was going to get this done, I kept pushing. And, it would so happens that, I had one or two good, nice neighbors who I would go and ask, is it okay? Can I please use your computer? And it was like, they were so welcoming. And I went and in all of this, and I'm saying this because I want someone who will be watching this to know that when you're pushing forward into breaking into something new, you're going to have many, many challenges and you're going to have a lot of obstacles, but you are going to learn to know what it is to don't see barriers and don't see obstacles. You're going to have to become so resilient and so relentless in your pursuit into establishing something new or fulfilling that hunger or that desire that you have, and in that I would pray and ask God for wisdom. Sometimes I would get frustrated and don't want to do it anymore. Like I would give up. Sometimes I'll just take a break and be like, you know what, is this really worth doing? And I would always get that little that like you can't stop now. And so that would give me my fire. And at the time, I was a mother of two. I was a single mom with two children. So that was a part of my fire as well that kept me pushing and seeing this thing become a reality. Even in 2010, when I made the decision that I'm not going to stop, I did whatever I had to do. My government at the time, they was do what they call a census. I remember volunteering to do the census because they were paying out some money It wasn't a whole lot, but I knew it could cover some other things I would want to do, like the license fee. Like I was doing all this stuff without even having a building. So there were things there was certain things that I was doing that I actually was doing it because like they would say she's just crazy, but it was really my fate on steroids, right? And I was just that determined. I had a drive and a hunger, like I'm not going to stop. I'm just I'm gonna pursue this thing because I believed in what it was that I was doing. I believed in what God had given me, on the inside. And I'm saying this kind of being fast forward, but at the time, my faith, as I was growing in my faith, there were times and there were moments that I could be transparent, because there are going to be people who are going to watch this live and see this and be like, well, it was that easy. Just no, it wasn't. Like I stated, there were moments that I wanted to give up. There were moments that I didn't even pursue it. Like I was so discouraged because along the way you'll get a lot of no's, and you're not going to get any help. You're going to turn to people who you think would be the ones that could help you or push you over the hump, and they're going to tell you no, and they're going to turn their backs. But that is where that's what builds. That's what's first of all, it's going to build your integrity. Second of all, it's going to make you'll get angry. My anger built me where it made me like, oh, like I'm going to prove them wrong. Like I was like so. When I tell you, I was so purpose driven in seeing this become a reality to Naya, that there were times I would be walking, like I walked everywhere I had to go because I no longer had my car because I lost my car. Um, and I was just like, it doesn't matter, but I'll tell you one of the benefits it did. Um, and me having to walk every day to where I had to go. Sometimes having to also walk back to my home where I was living at the time. It made my body fit. I was no slim pickings, but my body became very strong because it was exercise. And there were times like I would walk like maybe for 3 or 4 miles to where I had to go for my destination. There would be times that I would stop and someone, in our culture, it is okay, to stop and say, hey, you need a ride, because the island is small, right? And so a lot of people know everyone, and someone would stop and say, hey, Mabel, where you going? You need a ride? And that was, and that would happen a few times, but most of the times I walked. And I didn't stop. I didn't stop to say, oh, I can't get here because I don't have money for bus or for a taxi. I would just put my bag on my shoulder. And the crazy thing about it is that the Lord always spoke to me in the mornings that I would get up to go and walk to where I had to go. He would like, look like where I'm taking you, like dress like a businesswoman. I don't care what you have left of what you had, because I know you don't have the money anymore to buy the nice suits and stuff that you wore, but whatever you have left, make it count. And I was like, some of this stuff starting to fade. And something today, the crazy thing is, what I thought was starting to look a bit raggedy, it was like God put a special touch on my life that when I wore these things, people was admiring it. Like, I love that jacket you're wearing. And it was crazy, right? Because it's like, you love this jacket, like this old jacket, like this old skirt. But I realized God was doing something then supernaturally that I could not perceive. But because I was so hungry and I was so purpose driven, that God, me and you, and I'm going to make this happen. I don't have a mother, I don't have a father, but I'm going to make this happen, because at that time in my life, my mom was deceased. My mom passed away in 2009 while I was in the struggle. So that was even the more reason why I felt like I can't do this anymore. So there was something always, that still small voice in the back of my mind. And I could hear my mom saying, I'm so proud of you. And I know she would have been rooting me on to say, keep going, you're gonna make it. And so I kept pushing. And every time I look at my kids, and I was like, no, Mabel, you can't give up. You gotta go. Because it gets very discouraging. It gets very discouraging. But the beauty of it is, if you run on, like the scripture says, to see what the end bring, it will be so rewarding. And may I also add, sometimes, I should say even in most times, when God give you a burning passion and desire like I had for my boutique, it was bigger than just being a boutique. It was also ministry for me. And I could not understand why I was so hungry, because the hunger on the inside of me really was God, was me, was me. It was a part of my purpose, right? Because the ministry side of it is, the Lord said to me, the reason why I always told you to look like where I'm taking you, because you're going to look back and you're going to be able to minister to so many women who's going to be going through the exact same thing I'm going to take you through. And you're going to be able to turn to those chapters of your testimony, even while building and pursuing entrepreneurship. But you don't understand, you're really pursuing me, because it's ministry I put on the inside of you that is also business. Because the ultimate satisfaction in that was building ministry, because the boutique actually never birthed until after the ministry was born. And the ministry was, when I would get those same compliments from women, oh, I like that jacket. And God would give me an opportunity to just share and be real. Like, this is one of the jackets I used to wear when I was in working at the hotel. And then it would always spin off in me encouraging them with some scripture or word. And I didn't realize that God was flipping it when I thought I was pursuing the business. Because remember, in the book of Matthew 6 and chapter 33 says, to seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and then all other things will be added. And so when my focus, while I was in the hotel in 2006, I was in a backslidden condition. It wasn't until 2009 I rededicated my life back to God. So what God did was he flipped everything right side up. I was pursuing business, but what God did was he turned it around and allowed me to pursue ministry. Even while in my mind I thought I was pursuing business, the hunger that was so deep on the inside, he said he put that there, but it was to seek after the things of him, and not knowing that the what I thought was I was running after business, I was running after him, because the ministry was the business and the business was the ministry. And that's what it was for me.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the things I spoke on last week, as far as the lessons. When God wants to teach you something, He's going to make sure that you learn that lesson. It doesn't matter what type of plans you think you have or who you think you
Absolutely.
if there's a lesson and a level that God wants to put you in, He's gonna orchestrate things in a way to make sure. I like that you made sure to note that it is not an easy journey, and that things are not always gonna go the way that you plan them to go.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And so you have to be tenacious, and you have to be
Very,
you
very.
you have to know what it is that you are trying to pursue and not let it go like a bulldog, just a pit bull does. Not
Yes,
something, and
yes.
even while you're being shaken about, you cannot let it go, because there are going to be people that are going to look at you and say, "What are you
You better
doing?"
believe it. You better believe it. And you know something, Tanea? It's so ironic that you said that, because that used to be that used to always be my statement. You have to have, like, I have this bulldog tenacity. Like, I'm not letting up. And if you're not tenacious, if you don't have that bulldog tenacity, oh, let me tell you something. While pursuing business into the world of entrepreneurship, you will be swallowed if you're not strong. And if you're not tenacious, you will be swallowed, you will be stopped, you will be ostracized, you will be criticized, you'll be limited. And the first people going to do it is your family. May I
Yeah.
add that as well? They're going to
Yeah.
call you, they're going to tell you you're off your ruckus, because they're going to look at what the family history is. Because if you're like me, I didn't come from a family with no silver spoon. I came from a family of a impoverished background. My parents did the best what they could. But one thing I always learned from my parents is that they were tenacious. They were relentless in their pursuit into making sure that they was going to take care of their family. Wasn't able to accomplish a whole lot. That's another win beneath my wing after God, that everything that my mother or my father never accomplished, that I'm going to get that and more. What for me and what was for them, and they never was accomplish it. That is what I go after in all of my pursuit of the multiple businesses that I have.
So what would you say when you look back on who you were prior to learning all these lessons and achieving the various successes that you have? What would you say was the most surprising thing that you learned about yourself?
The most surprising thing that I learned about myself in my journey was I didn't know how influential, and realizing how influential and um, inspiring I was, because I didn't see myself as that.
Mhm.
I even remember every time I would work with a different company, I always had bosses that would say to me, "You just don't know what you carry. Like, you just as natural, like, put you in the zone and let you go, and you're a beast." And I saw like, what do they mean by that? Like, I always, I always saw to the top at every company that I would have worked with in sales and marketing. I always was among the top 3 or the top 5, always. And I just all I did was just be me, and that's as best as I could say it. Like I didn't realize that I had this gift of gab. And my daughter said to me one day, she said, "Do you know what the gift of gab is?" I said, "Of course I do." I said, "What do you mean?" She was like, "I'm not just talking about a person who just talk a lot." She said, "Mom," she said, "you are natural at what you do." She said, "When you open your mouth, you just get people attention because you have the natural gift of gab. Like that God give you that gift. You get people attention because some people talk and they just talk a whole lot of nothing. But when you talk, the things that you talk about, things that you say," she said, "you just get people attention." I said, "Because it comes from a real place. It
Mhm.
comes from my own personal experiences." And also, Tanea, another interesting thing that I found out about myself was um, I didn't really thought I had the natural ability to be a leader. That I think was the most shocking experience for me to lead. And my then boss, who was also the investor and owner of one of the resorts I worked in back in the Bahamas, he was a multi-millionaire. His name was Mr. Arnie Peterson. He was from Denmark. And him and the then general manager of the resort, Mr. Fred Moss. I remember when I was in the lineup with the sales team that they was bringing in at the time. He said he looked at Arnie and he said, "Arnie Peterson, you see that tall, bright one?" At the time, my hair was not blonde, and all these are different phases of my life um, that I transition or I transform into. But he said, "I always told Arnie when we saw you from the first day you came into the sales room, I said, Arnie, she's going to be one of your top salesperson. You can see she's a beast, she's a shark." And they labeled me that. She's a beast, she's a shark. And even in the years I spent with Mr. Peterson, I moved up in the ranks of what they call junior manager and then to closer. And I started closing my own deals. And then and I didn't know, like, that's when I really started coming into my own. Like, looking back on my life, I didn't realize God was using all of the jobs that those experiences was training me for what he was preparing me for. And so those were some of the things that I found out about me that was naturally on the inside of me. And God used all of these experiences as hard as they were, because it's like some things, it takes God putting us sometime in hot water, like you stated earlier, to bring out the best in us, right? Because that's the only time when the heat is up under us, we move, right? Because like you're not going to sit there and say, I'm just going to die. You're going to say, no, there got to be a way out. And that's what God uses to say, you're going to figure it out. I know I made you, I created you. So I know when I allow this to happen, you're going to figure it out. Because that's you tapping into the natural abilities, gifting, and talents that was already on the inside of you. And if those situations didn't happen, you would have never known. Not and I think Jacqueline Carr said in that song, if it wasn't for the shaking, if it wasn't for the breaking, you would have never know how anointed you are. I could say, and I can also attribute those words to you would never know how gifted you are, or discovering some of the many talents and things that you're capable of doing naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. Even the realization of you being a leader, or allowing us to let it rest on ourselves, where the positive things about ourselves, and that we do actually have a purpose. We do actually have a role to play in society, and we are leaders. We are inspirational. Sometimes that can be difficult for us to grasp and for us to accept.
You're
So,
right.
what would you say to someone who is having that battle where they're starting to see little inklings of, you know what, maybe I am, or maybe I do have this talent, but the battling with the double-mindedness of, no, you're not good enough, and the listening to other people and coming to their head and tell them that it's crazy, coming to the head and not believing them. What would be your words to someone who is struggling with accepting their greatness?
Go for it. Follow your natural gut instinct that you initially felt from the very first onset. Because I went through that. And what happened was I went through that in entrepreneurship. I went through that in other areas of my life. And I had to learn, when I looked back over my life today, I said to myself, I will not allow anyone to ever do that to me again. Because, and I have to say, I allowed, and we allowed that, just as you said in your question. You battle with the double-mindedness. You know there's something you're feeling, and all you need is, like, you're waiting for that someone to just come and say, you on the right track, girl, go for it. But there's no one there to do that. You hear all the negative. Oh, you can't. You don't have the money. Remember your background, where you came from. Oh, I tried that. It didn't work. Don't never let anyone discourage you, because not because they attempted something and it failed and didn't work for them, that does not mean it's not going to work for you. Because what you come to understand is, some people are not graced for what they are trying to attempt. Some people are trying to attempt something that is not even out, it's out of their league. They don't have the capacity. But the very thing that you're attempting and you're going after, even though you don't have the resource, you don't have the backing, you don't have the finances, you might not have a building, right? And that desire is so rich and so prevalent in you. Like, I know this, I feel this thing so strong. Trust you me. That inner strong knowing that you're feeling, that is that what God put on the inside of you. And most of the times, that is God saying, this is me. I put this in you and I'm going to back it. I know you can't see how it can happen. Just go. Start with the nothing you have. What is the nothing you have? When I started New Creation, I did not have capital. I did not have money. I did not have a building. Notice earlier in the podcast, I said there was an opportunity that arose from the government to do census. I said I can use this money to help myself and my children, but I could use some of this money that they're going to pay at the end of this census for the volunteers that can get my license. Did I have a building at the time? I'm talking about a license that didn't even have a shop space. So I was already ahead of myself. but I knew it was God. I knew it was something like, I know this is crazy. See, what we have to understand is when you are a kingdom entrepreneur, can I make that disclaimer?
Mhm.
There's a distinction. There's some people who are entrepreneurs and you have people who are kingdom entrepreneurs. And I say that because there's a lot of us that started business, and if it wasn't for the grace of God and God stepping in, supernaturally giving us creative miracles, a lot of us who have businesses today, it would have never gotten started because we were obedient to go after that burning desire that you mentioned in the question and didn't allow the naysayers and all of the negativity or the people that have the mundane and the mediocre mindset to discourage us. So that little bit of percentage of hope that we had, a lot of us rode that and took off with that, not having nothing. Some of us started businesses while homeless. Hello, somebody. Can I say that? Some of us even started businesses while we were homeless. I'm a living testimony. And I had nothing. A new creation was birthed from the nice clothes that I used to wear that was already tatted and worn, with God allowing me to meet new persons in my life who knew or heard of my background through when I started ministry. And they were, oh, I have this nice jacket in my closet. And I thought, do you mind if I bring that for you tomorrow or the next prayer meeting? And I was like, sure, because at that point, I can't afford these things no more. So God used hand-me-downs, what I had left. But the glory of God, and I'm not getting spiritual, I'm just being real, I'm telling my truth. And the grace that was all upon my life, excuse me, oh, I'm so sorry, that was upon my life. People looked at me as if I stepped out of Vogue magazine. Then what I would do is I would go into the beauty supply stores back then, back home in the Bahamas, and they would have these nice, generic brand products in makeup. And the Holy Spirit will speak to me when I'm in my prayer in the morning. And he would say, I want you to fix your face. Take those same clothes that you were given. You might have 2 skirts or 1 pants left from all the nice clothing attire that you had. Switch them around. I don't care if you have to switch it around. You can't wear it every day and make 3 outfits out of it. Keep switching it around. Today, can I tell you, and everyone that's listening on this podcast today, there was something special that God did in my life. I did not understand it. I did not perceive it. I was trying to be obedient to what I was hearing and what I was sensing when I would be in my prayer time in the morning. So what I did was, there were times I would get up in the morning praying and looking in the mirror, waiting for the sun to rise so I could have good light. Because remember, I didn't have electricity. So I could have good light so I could look in the mirror. I would cry and look at myself and say, why are you doing this? Like, people laughing at you now. You had a nice car. You was about to move in your home. You lost everything. They're laughing at you like, what's the purpose of going out there and putting on this makeup? Like, that's now the little devils in your ears talking. Like, you look stupid. Go get on this mirror. Go somewhere and die, right? Just go sit down somewhere. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the honest to God truth. And I would just cry and the tears would just flow and I would get breakdown. And there was times, because there was even days I did not go. And I just wallowed in self-pity. But the days that I did obey God and I got up and I go, I would wipe my face and dry my tears, and I would color match the little face powder, the little lipsticks, and buy the little dollar eyeliner. So even if someone would bless me in a day with a $10 or $20, whatever it was, I would buy these little things, just trying to make myself feel good about myself, as if when I was in, the hotel, when I could buy all the name brand, Mac brand makeup and all that, etc. And because I was obedient to God, Tanea, and putting on makeup as best as I knew how, and making and wearing the little jackets and the hand-me-downs that women would bless me with. Can I tell you, God used that with absolutely no money. And because women would just look at me and like, where did you get that blazer? Where did you get this shirt? Where did you get this skirt? And I'm like, what are these people saying that I'm not seeing? Can I tell you, God used that, Tanea? And because of my obedience, I was in church on a Sunday. And I pray, God, that this testimony bless someone today who's listening. And this lady walked up to me in church, and she said to me, she said, the Lord spoke to me concerning you, and the Lord told me he must help you get your business started. And I'm like, what? Bear in mind what I said. Through my obedience, there were times I disobeyed and I just stayed at home and have a pity party, right? But I still pushed through. I didn't sit down and just totally give up. There was days I rallied myself. I was saying, no, you got to go. Because I would think about my kids. And I said, no, you got to go. I would think about how both of my parents died in the struggle and they never accomplished anything that they wanted. They never taste what it is to really live a nice luxury, a good life. And I'm like, no, maybe you got to get up and you got to go. And then the Lord would speak to me and he would say to me, there's so many women out there that you're going to impact their lives, and people who are locked up in your loins. That was the word I used to always hear. The women that's locked up in your loins that you're going to have to minister to. Like, I need you. I'm counting on you. You can't give up. And those were the days I would push through the pain and the oppression and the depression and all of it's in there. And put on the little makeup. And then people ask me, who did your makeup? And I'm like, these people, like, you guys are just trying to like patronize me. Like, you're not serious. Like, I'm serious. I promise you, I'm telling you the honest to God's truth. Remember you asked me, you said, who are the people who will be struggling with the battles? I'm giving you the truth, because the battles, the warfare, the mental warfare was real. It was intense. And you got to battle it, right? And you got to battle it through the word of God. And I would be like, no, I'm going to do it. Like, I had to quiet the storm and the noise in my head. And how I did that was, I'm going to put on this makeup. I'm going to learn. I'm going to watch other people's face and how pretty their face look. And I'm going to practice that. And that's what I did. And I would go out and I would watch, if I had to rinse that blazer on my hand or hang it up and let it air out or whatever, they can make sure nothing goes on it. And I would walk. I had this one jean skirt that was black. I wore that jean skirt. It was 7 days in a week, and I wore that jean skirt at least 4 times a week. Till it was faded and it looked like a stone-washed black jeans. I promise you. And people was admiring me. I promise you. Tanea, I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you, people out there in this cyber world, I'm telling you guys, honest, this is no fairy tale. I'm telling you my testimony. I'm telling you my truth. And I remember in my early days, I tried everything in products. I used to try to sell little finger foods, walking on the street with a bag on my arm with little goods in it, trying to sell stuff. I remember when I would use a friend's car and I would try to sell a little, like, what we call like they have these things in Trinidad, I guess, or Bermuda and Barbados, they call Rudy's, but they had patties. And I remember one time I asked this guy to take a chance on me and credit me some patties, and I promised I'll pay. I flipped them that same day, I'll bring your money back. And he took a chance on me. And I remember I was trying to go into a hospital and try to get things move, and it wouldn't move. And like at this time, now that I'm in the game of trying to tap into this fashion industry with this boutique idea, I remember one time, to go back when the lady told me that the Lord spoke to her concerning me to start my business. This lady went to the US to shop for her business. And then she came back and she bought me a bag of accessories. She told me, and I remember telling me, she said, I didn't pay no more than $150. She said, for the accessories that you have. And I was like, I don't care what it was. I said, I'm grateful. And it was coming towards Mother's Day. And she said, I'm going out in my car because I have to go to some of my customers. She said, you're welcome to join me. I don't sell accessories anymore. I just sell clothes, and you could sell the accessories. And I took $150 in products. I went to different business houses with her. Let me go back a little bit. When the accessories she bought, remember I told you all earlier in the podcast that I used to go to the neighbors and do research and go online and research boutiques. It was also at that time that I tapped into manufacturing companies in LA, and all the fashion districts in New York, Atlanta. LA and Miami. And today I have personal relationships with some of these persons who still work for some of these companies to this day, now that my dream are reality. And I was able to give her some of the names of the places that she could go that sells accessories in Miami, because even though you have your places that you frequent, who are your manufacturers or who are your suppliers, she didn't know those ones. And when she went in there, she said, "Oh man, that one you sent me to, they had nice accessories, and that's where I bought your stuff." And so I want you to see the obedience. Even though I didn't have power and I was relentless in accomplishing what I was trying to do, I still went next door. At times I would ask the neighbor if I can use their computers, and I was gathering information. I was gathering information. So even while I was dreaming and saying that one day it's going to become reality, I didn't have the capital. I didn't have the money. I didn't have nobody to back me. But what I did, what I could have done to get started, because that's a start, I gathered the information. I wrote it down. I had a man of God who taught me how to build a business proposal, because I was going to the government trying to get a grant, and God was testing my obedience. He gave me templates and stuff that I could have used. Those was not none of my strong areas, but I tried my best. And because I tried, even at this point where we are now, and me telling my story, what it brought me to, and taking $150 worth of products and flipping it and allowing that to produce $900. And from there, I said, listen to me again. I gathered information in the beginning. The opportune time was going to come when I did not even know that someone was going to approach me to say, "Hey, God spoke to me concerning you." This wasn't somebody who was no millionaire. What did I say? She told me she was going to buy me some accessories to get me started because God spoke to her concerning me. She told me how much she paid for the bag of accessories that she gave me. I took that bag of accessories, what she said was in value of $150, and I flipped that and made $900 from it. That was how I got started in building a new creation makeover center and boutique. But it was after I got started in ministry with a new creation, Women Ministries Outreach International. I took that $900. I took some to help me and my children, and I took the rest of it. I put offerings in church and sow seeds, and I reinvested to get more products. And that was the pattern that I kept doing. I kept flipping and turning, flipping and turning, flipping and turning, until how the clothing line came to play was I took some of those accessories, and that same hospital that I always tried to make a breakthrough in, because they would always say, "Oh, I'll take a patty," but I never had success there. But when I went in there with accessories, what this woman of God did for me, she sold the clothes that was for plus size women. She had these nice soft jackets that would have the one button, and they were 3/4 pitch sleeve, and she gave me one of them. And I went inside the hospital. At this point, this was already months after she blessed me and got me to start my business. It was months after, and I kept going, and they would say, "Oh, I like those earrings. Oh, I like that necklace." And then I started prospecting, because in my pursuit of building and going after bringing to reality a new creation, I dabbled in the insurance business for a moment after my days of what I call vacation timeshare sales in the Bahamas. So in that business, it taught me how to prospect. So there was a market of women that I had targeted in mind. I wanted to go after the corporate women. I wanted to go after the business women. I wanted to go after the distinctive church women. So there was a standard I had, because remember earlier I said I didn't want just any boutique. There was specific type of boutique that I wanted. And it wasn't to discriminate, but I had a vision in my head of the women that I wanted to speak to, I wanted to cater to, and also women who I would have come in contact with who may not have been at that level, but I could have used my influence. I watch my watchwords from the beginning of the podcast. I could have used my influence and sharing my story to bring them to that level.
Yeah.
So they could have feel better about themselves. Not that I would just minister to them through the ministry, which was first, but I'm able now to say, hey, I don't need nothing from you, but I can't just let you go just like that. So the instruction God gave me was the ministry is the business is the ministry. Remember I said that earlier? It was for me to be able to adorn them, not just speak to the woman on the inside, because now I don't empower you spiritually. So what I'm going to do about the physical woman. So in New Creation Makeover Center Boutique, what we do is we cater to you from head to feet. So if I gotta take you to a salon, because in my makeover center, it's supposed to have a mini salon, um, a makeover studio, and then you go next door to the actual boutique. So you go and you get made over, have your hair done, your makeup done, and then we dress you. And that's the whole purpose behind the ministry. But how I got started, and when I went back into that hospital, it was called the Ram Memorial Hospital. And when I went back into that hospital and they saw me with the jacket, excuse me, they started asking, now you gave me this accessory. I like that jacket. Do you have those? And at this point, I was ready on my own because she and I had already split. Not just split, I was just telling her I just want to do it on my own now. So God used her to get me started, but I eventually ventured out on my own. And at this point, as I ventured out on my own, because again, through my research, I knew where to get the jackets, and I also know where I wanted to get more fashion style clothing. Because remember, I had already made contact with a lot of suppliers and manufacturers in LA, Atlanta, Miami. Even though they were online, I would call these people. On my neighbor, she had a US phone, and she was like, "We want you." I have a I forget what those phone name at the time that everyone Magic Jack.
Yeah.
She had a Magic Jack. So I was able to make phone calls to these places. So I had developed and started something, and I would always say to them, not now, but I'm gathering information so that in the near future, because I'm opening this boutique, and I would always talk as if I already had everything together. So I didn't talk as if I didn't have it and I was faking it until I make it. I was talking as if, we're launching another line, and I like your products that you're offering, and that, and that's the way I would talk, and that was just the wisdom of God. So, I mean, it was just crazy. During that moment, going to the round to those nurses, what I tapped into was these people don't have time to go on a vacation like that. And when they do on vacation, they just want to relax. They don't want to shop. They don't want to do anything. So you see, I was looking for the problems because I was the solution to the problems. And the solution I offered was, you don't got to come out your house. I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to you all morning. You tell me when you guys need me here, and I'll be here. And every shift that those nurses, the nurses that worked 7 to 3, I was there. The nurses that came on for 4 to 11, I was there. Even if they needed me, sometime when I would be leaving, those nurses would be coming on, changing their last night shift because they want me to come and take their order because, when your next order going out? And can I tell you, with no money to buy clothing, but remember I said I was flipping the money from the accessory sales, but with no money to buy clothing or having any capital to order any large amount, I went into that hospital on one weekend, which was a Friday. It was a Thursday because our government pay system is bi-monthly. So they get paid the 15th and the 30th, or based on how the Fridays fall in the month. Tanea, I went in there and I was able to rack up almost $2,000 just in deposits Some of the nurses say, I don't want no payment, so I'm going to pay you for all of my jackets. I was getting orders. Can I get 3? I want that color, and that color. Because remember, I had already had my research, so I know what the inventory was these manufacturers had. And I updated myself, so I knew what was current. So I didn't just take people's monies and I was ignorant and then couldn't fulfill it. I was a stupid. God gave me sense, all right? I used wisdom. So I was constantly updating myself because I didn't have nothing to do. I didn't go downtown to a prayer meeting. I would go back home instead of being home and wallowing in self-pity. If I wasn't in prayer, if I wasn't fasting or anything of that nature, I would be asking my neighbor, can I use your computer? So I was constantly on looking for what's the next new hot thing, and so forth and so on. So I took that almost that $2,000 out of that. I said, I'm doing a 1-day trip to Florida. I bought my plane ticket. I got a rental car, and I went directly to the supply because I already knew where I was going to go to fill all of these orders that I took. I came back that next day, sorted all those orders. My daughter helped me. We packaged because I got a little notebook. Let me tell you what the Holy Spirit told me. I went to the nearby drugstore and they sell the little receipt book. I pulled out, got a 99-cent receipt book, and I was giving everybody a receipt for their down payment. I didn't have a letterhead, nothing. I wrote on the top, a New Creation Boutique, and took their deposits, who paid in full, who gave deposit, what their balance was. And that's how I got started, Tania. And from then, my business began to grow.
One thing that stands out is that no experience is wasted. Nothing is wasted. So even while you were just researching and probably didn't even know why you needed to go and research these things, you just felt the unction to just go and look these things up.
Absolutely right.
And it all just it's all a building block, and it all comes together at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Origins for those who have these little things. I remember for me, there were little things that I felt before I left Bermuda. There were little things that I felt like I needed to get in place, but I didn't know why. I just felt like I had to do it.
Yes.
Had to get that in place. Until one day it all made sense as to why I needed to do these things, because if I hadn't done this, then I wouldn't be able to move forward with that. But while I was doing whatever it is, whatever that small thing was, there was no reason for it. It was so random to me. But it all came together at the end of the day. And so
yes.
That's really encouraging for those who are making those small steps and who are finding themselves wanting to do these little things, or even if they're big things, but not understanding why. Follow that gut instinct, like you said. Follow their gut instinct. Keep pushing. Keep doing what it is that you feel in your spirit to do.
Absolutely.
It makes sense. It is not. No time is wasted. No lesson is wasted. Even as you struggle, even as you come up to adversity and things aren't going your way, there's a lessons that you are learning. There's a
absolutely
a learning to overcome, so that when another situation comes along, that know how to handle it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, nothing is wasted. It is all together. It all works together for good. That's such an amazing story and such an amazing journey.
And let me also add to the viewers that may be watching and listening. And I'm saying this from experience. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. And if I could help someone to prevent some of the silly mistakes I would have made, let me say this by helping you in that area. Be careful who you allow in your sphere of influence. Learn your tribe. And when I say learn your tribe, simply meaning know the people that you would want to be around, or who you would want to be around you in your air. And if they're not talking the same language as you are, as a matter of fact, always try to surround yourself with successful business people. I didn't know it then. No one taught me that. I learned this through the things I had to suffer, and now I can impart it to others to help you save yourself some time, hurt and pain that you could avoid having to go through even in your journey. That is not going to negate the fact that you're not going to have to leap over some walls and run through some obstacles and stuff. But what it will help is will save you some unnecessary pain and warfare that you'll need to go through. Like not everybody has your best interest at heart. Okay. Surrounding yourself with people of influence. How do you do that? You look for if you're a Christian, you want to look for people who are kingdom entrepreneurs who are successful. Go online. We have social media. Go online and look in your city. Where they might be having the next free event talking about entrepreneurship, people who are successful, people who want to truly share because they want to see people to grow. And the only way we can grow is when we know. And in knowing is you're gonna have to make yourself available. Know what the check things around town that's going on, because not everybody's gonna say, hey, Tanea, they having a free bridal show, and all you have to do is just show up. Go to that, because if you're in the industry like I am in any type of service, you want to go to things like that, and you take your cards with you. And when you engage in any type of conversation, hey, I'm Mabel. Here's my business card, because after you've already engaged in conversation, you want to be like, you know what, it was so nice talking to you guys. Can I just leave one of my business cards with you? And not everybody's going to throw them away. Someone is going to keep it and be like, you remember the lady we met at the bridal show? I didn't do those things then because I did not know. I was so involved and so churchy and caught up in stuff. And because I had no one to me in that direction, because everybody at my sphere of influence, what I thought was, oh, these are the people I need to be around. But the truth of the matter, when I look back on my life, we all were broke, poor, disgusted, and busted. And so I realized I was in the wrong tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the biggest thing I want to tell people, you don't have to be around people you broke and they broke. Wrong. You
Yeah.
look for people that are above your pay grade, who will care. That's not going to say you're not going to get some no's. You're going to get some no's. You're going to get some rejections. But let the experience that you're going to go through let you learn how to build endurance, meaning that even when you get a no, it's just going to be another no to make you that more resilient, to say, well, I'm going to go on to the next person. And you're going to find someone who's going to be more than happy to welcome you into their circle, to say, hey, here's another a hungry entrepreneur coming up. Let us help her. Let us empower her. And they will invite you to their meetings and their groups. And guess what? Be wise and choose wisely. So always let the Holy Spirit lead you.
That's beautiful. You've had an amazing conversation. And maybe you have a conference coming up in September. You want to tell the people about your your conference?
Yes, out of the ashes of my pain, a new creation ministries international was birthed out of all the pain and my journey and my experience in the and what it was that God gave me to do. And my first conference actually was in 2015 in the Bahamas. And my first international conference was last year, The Awakening, the Uprising of the Essence and Deborah, sorry. And this year, 2023, September 1st, which is a Friday, at the Embassy Suites Hotel here in West Palm Beach, Florida, which is our host hotel. We will be having our second International Women's Conclave, The Awakening, the Uprising of the Esther's and Deborahs. And God is doing a new thing. And it's to edify and uplift and to empower women from all walks of life, but it's not limited only to women. Women can bring their husbands. And we welcome anyone who will be listening to this broadcast. If you're in Atlanta, if you're in the surrounding area of Florida or nearby state, please come and join us. That September 1st, that's a Friday night at 7 p.m. at the Embassy Suites Hotel in West Palm Beach, Florida, near the airport. Come, I promise you, you would not regret it. We're going to have, I'm talking about anointed women of God. We're going to have prophetic psalmists. I mean, the atmosphere is going to be, I'm talking about, charged with the presence of God. Come and be empowered and uplifted. We're a ministry that not just we're conference hosts, we're out there in the streets getting down and personal with the persons, and just like in my humble beginnings, people who are out there on the streets who are homeless, some, have life issues, life happened, and we are there every week on the streets, and we're catering to these people, giving them hot food, brand new clothes. We're out there, we're on the ground, we go there, we get up close and personal with these people. We're not just a ministry that sits behind some pulpit. We're out there, we're an outreach ministry. So we go out there and we make it happen. We give these people hope through Jesus Christ, and we show them the love, because the word of God declares by his love and kindness has he drawn them. And we go there and we let them know, hey, we're not out here to look down at you. We're out here to pull you up and give you hope, to let you know that God is love and we love you, and we pray for them and we nourish them. And man, listen, we meet people from all walks of life, and this is a part of what our conference is as well. We just want to continue to empower and edify and uplift. This is about synergy. We want to connect. It's not just about a New Creation Ministries. We are hoping that someone out there who would want to come and partner with our ministry. We don't care where you're from. You don't even have to be in Florida. That's why we have all this technology. You can reach out to us by way of social media. You can find us on social media. You can find us through Midday Muse, through Minister Tanea. However you want to partner and join with us. But if you're going to be available, if you're in a nearby city, if you're in anywhere in the Palm Beach County area, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Jacksonville, Florida, wherever you are, come and be with us. We have, like I said, powerful speakers coming from all the Freeport, Bahamas, Prophetess Jasmine Darius. We're going to have with us Dr. Regina Martin from Embassy Church of South Florida, who's going to come and lay the icing on the cake and empower the women. Come out and be blessed. You're going to hear from myself. I'm coming, and I'm coming out strong. Like the song say, I'm coming in hot and charged. You're going to have Minister Tanea, who's going to come with a powerful word through spoken word. We're going to have Minister Prophet the prophetic psalmist, Pastor Jeff from Embassy Church of South Florida. I'm talking this man of God, when he began to tap into the atmosphere. Listen, the heavens descends. Man, listen, we talk about a time of God where you need to be empowered, you need to be refreshed, you need to be recharged. You need a move of God in your life to break through for real. Come out and be with us September 1st. 2023, at the Awakening 2023, the uprising of the Esther's and Deborahs. Come out, men. Come out with your wives. Come out and be there, Barak, as it was in the days of in the book of Judges with Deborah and Barak. Come on out. Let's come and glorify the name of the Lord, and let us come out and iron sharpen iron.
Is there anything that you would like to leave us with today? Any final words that you would like to bestow upon our wonderful listeners and viewers?
Don't give up on your dreams. Believe in yourself first and foremost. Believe in who you are. Know your identity. Know who you are and whose you are. Because that was something that almost destroyed me in my personal walk with God and my life period. Because there came a point where I heard so many no's and was oppressed and suppressed till I didn't believe in myself at one point as much. It took a lot of fight for me to become that tenacious bulldog, tenacious, or have that bulldog tenacity, and to become relentless in my pursuit in the things of God and ultimately business. Because it is not easy, but I can tell you one thing, it's going to be worth it. Don't give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in the dream that God placed on the inside of you. I don't care who you are out there today. I don't care whether you're a believer or not. Believe in who you are. Believe in that which you have on the inside. And don't think nothing is too crazy of an idea. Because the mere fact that someone may think that your idea is crazy, that goes to show you have $1 million product on your hand. That's $1 million idea God gave you because someone has never done it before, or someone never heard about it before. sometimes there were things that God gave people to do, but they were so afraid and they let people discourage them. It never came forward. And those things now God has put in other persons. And that dream that you have, that's your $1 million. That's your gateway to the escape, to break the cycle of poverty in your family life, and to change the very trajectory of the landscape of your life and ultimately your generation. And God wants to use you to make a difference and do that. So don't give up on yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in who you are and what it is that God has given you. Go after it. Be relentless in your pursuit. Develop that bulldog tenacity. And I promise you, on the next side of it, you're going to see God is going to blow on it and he's going to make you prosperous and successful.
Wow. What an amazing conversation. I'm so glad that you decided to join, that you accepted the invitation, accepted the call. And this has been a wonderful, wonderful episode. Thank you so
It was
much.
my pleasure. It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure to join you today.
Yes. All right, everybody. This is Midday Muse. We are here every Thursday at noon. Thank you for joining. Please like, please subscribe, please share. If you want to support the ministry, I'm starting a ministry. It's new for me, ministry. If you want to support the podcast, which is a ministry.
It is. You didn't
It's
make you didn't make no mistakes there. You didn't make no mistakes there, because that's exactly what it is.
yes. Um, my information is in the description. You can Cash App or PayPal, just to support and allow me to be able to continue to build on this endeavor and provide more content, better, more guests, and just be